sort of chest press. So what I want you guys to focus on is, obviously you're going to use force when you press the weight up, but you want to be active on the way down and pull the weight back down towards you. So pressing up, pulling back down. So what that's going to do is going to better engage your lats and help you to go into your next press with a nice stable shoulder. So if you're doing a supine press on a bench or the floor, same deal, you're pressing up and you're going to pull the weight back down to you. You obviously want to be pulling back down with a relative force that's not going to be overly fatiguing the lats, just keeping them engaged. If you do pull down with too much tension, then you're going to fatigue your lats more than they're going to help you. The next variation or technique is for people that tend to arch their backs when they're pressing in a standing variation. So sometimes people aren't aware that they're doing this, so obviously checking out your form in a mirror, having somebody else watch you is a good thing to do. Another thing you can try is doing the same pressing exercise seated, and it will feel a lot different if you tend to arch because you don't really have the ability to arch, and so you're going to feel really unstable. So you can also use that as a bit of a self-assessment. We're actually correcting it. The best way to do it is to do it in a kneeling position. So whatever knee is down is going to be your pressing arm. Same technique is pressing up, pulling down. But what happens in this position is it's really hard for you to arch. Your pelvis is more fixed, so you can keep that nice and stable. What it can lead to sometimes though is people then find a new compensation and they tend to lean as they press. That's not something we want either. And so when you're pressing, especially if you're doing a unilateral press, you want to make sure that you keep your ribs set and flare as little as possible. And so sometimes you can think about kind of holding these ribs down, but what I find to be a little bit more helpful is to keep this side open. So core is tight all the way around, and as you press up, you're trying to focus on keeping this rib set and staying open that way. The last technique is for people that might not have the mobility for overhead. So if you don't have full range of motion without load, we're definitely not going to suggest loading the exercise. If you still want to strengthen your pressing, then you can do so via a landmine variation. And so obviously I have a landmine holder here, but you can just wedge this into a corner. I would put maybe an old shoe or something there to make sure that you don't damage the wall. But this is a good variation because you're still going a little bit more vertical, but the plane is a little bit friendlier for the shoulder, and you can still load it up in a safe way. So those are a few variations that should help you with your pressing